Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to talk about a new article that they published called War. It's basically just an explanation on how you do war in the world, how you do the corrupted invasions, and how you do the standard war. So you have the corrupted invasion, that is the infection, where you get attacked by all these demons and monsters who are, very terrifying. And then you have the standard war. So last time we made a video talking about the corrupted invasion, but in this video it's more about, and also the article, it's more about the standard PvP war, where it's 50 players versus 50, where in corrupted invasion you have 50 player versus just monsters. But in this one here, the normal war is just 50 versus 50. And as they actually say themselves, Aeternum is a place of struggle. Not only will you have to contend with the forces of corruption, but you must also protect yourself from other players. Claiming a territory is a good first step in establishing a foothold, providing security and resources for the days ahead. But it also puts you at greater risk when someone else wants what you have. So, before you can begin to attack another war zone or another foothold or establishment, you need to weaken the territory by doing faction missions. So when you do faction missions in this territory, they will be weakened by some kind of interface, and then finally you can start a war. So when you go in war, you are going on behalf of your faction. So depending on which of the three factions you choose, you're going in war for that one. If your company has been selected as the vanguard, basically the vanguard means that you are the attacker. The governor can select members of their company to fill attacking ranks for 50 versus 50 war. If they have enough players, they can fill the war entirely with members of their company. However, if a smaller company is selected, they can pick from anyone in their faction or even pick volunteers from the third faction to be involved in the war. So basically all this, so how I see it is that these companies is basically like guilds. And these companies here, if the company attacks another, you could say company, you have your fort or you have your company, you attack this fort, then the governor, basically guild leader, he can choose up to 50 players in the guild to join. If he doesn't have 50 players, it's fine. He can still get random players from his own faction or the third faction that has nothing to do with this war. So there's 3 factions in this game, and so you're of course coming from a faction, you're attacking a faction, and then the third faction who's not involved in this can also join and help you if you don't have enough people on your factions or in your guild. Company. But I don't think that's going to be a problem, because I think a lot of people is really wanting to play these 50 versus 50, and as you can hear, it's not something you just can queue up for. It actually, you can queue up for it in the city, but it sounds like it's not something that is going to be very often, so it's going to be a very rare event. So the wars will take place in specific windows of time that are set by defending the company. This also removes the potential for offline raiding or wars taking place during incommission hours of the majority of the members involved. So that means everyone will get to know that the war is starting 11 tomorrow, 11 PST, something like that, tomorrow. So everyone can log in 1 hour before the war starts, see if you get selected, and if you get selected, you will get teleported over to the war. So it's going to be like an instance-based war. So it's only going to be you, 50 players versus 50 in that zone, and no one else can interfere. And when the war ends, you're going to be teleported out of it again and straight into where you were before. The attacking army will attempt to breach the walls of the fort and capture its claim, those taking over the ownership of the whole territory for the faction. So basically when the game starts and you get teleported in and everything gets ready, it's basically your task now to actually attack. And outside the base you have like 3 points you have to capture. When you have captured these 3 points, you are locking them, so that means the defenders cannot take them again. It's like they have to defend it or else they're gonna lose it forever. Then after these 3 points, they have to attack the fort gate, and after attacking the fort gate and coming in, there's 1 point they can capture inside, and when they capture that one, they win the fight. I'm not 100% sure how long these fights are. I could not find any information about that in the article. It didn't really say any information about how long the fight is actually going to be, but yeah, that's pretty much, that was it. So also, when you're attacking and also defending, an extra layer of strategy and tactics are introduced to equation when you start building siege weapons and siege platforms. As an attacker, you can spend your battle tokens at the war camps Amori to acquire siege platforms and build them on the battlefield. Similar to how are acquired using in invasions, you gain additional battle tokens by contributing to the battle. And these siege weapons, let's go through each of the siege weapon actually, because we have quite a lot. So the attackers is going to get something called a cannon platform. With a medium rate of fire and the highest damage per hit, the cannon is most effective against structures and large slow-moving targets. Several cannons focusing their fire can quickly demolish any defense structure. And this is the attackers who has this one. Attackers can also get something called the Fire Launcher Platform. The Fire Launcher launches a flaming projectile that bursts on impact and counters an area in fire. It is most effective against infantry and is a good way to counter ranged opponents shooting from the fort rampart. It is also very effective at area denial and keeping opponents out of capture points. Really cool. And the last one attackers has is Repeater Platform. The Repeater is a rapid fire turret that launches bolts at very high speed. Individually, the bolt don't do a lot of damage, but sustained fire can quickly whittle infantry down. It's most effective against smaller and quicker targets that the other turrets have a hard time hitting. Then also, of course, the defenders is also going to have some kind of thing to, like answer with. And the first thing they have is a ballista. The ballista is the defender's version of the cannon and serves the same role as an anti-structure siege weapon. It has a medium rate of fire, very high damage per shot, and it's most effective against structures and large, slower moving targets. Keep in mind, these defender items is also the defender items you can use in a corrupted invasion against monsters. Defenders also have explosive cannon. The explosive cannon fires an explosive shot that disrupts and knocks enemies back. It's most effective against group of infantry and provides a rear denial, like at the rally points in front of the fort. However, its low rate of fire makes it largely ineffective against fast-moving targets. Defenders also have a repeater turret. Defender's version of the repeater is functionally the same as the attackers, high rate of fire, low damage per shot, and the most effective against smaller, quicker targets. Defenders also have something called the fire dropper. The fire dropper pours burning molten liquid down on anyone below. It does high damage over time, making it the most effective against a group of enemies attacking the gate. And also the last thing they have as defender is Horn of Resilience. The Horn of Resilience provides a temporary healing and defensive buff to all allies in the rear. It has a lengthy cooldown but can turn the tide of battle when used at the right moment. Also, both the attackers and defenders will be able to get, traps. And when an enemy, so we have this one Inferno Mine. And when an enemy gets close enough, the Inferno Mine bursts and covers the rear in fire. It is highly effective in area denial and most effective when placed in choke points. And also we have a Powder Kick. The Powder Kick does the highest damage of any siege weapon, making it extremely effective against the gates. Its fuse must be light manually and has a lengthy duration. The Powder Kick can detonate if it's destroyed early, requiring players to actively defend it. So it reminds me of, Lord of the Rings Helm's Deep, where the orc runs in and, blows the gate. But it sounds like you have to actually stand on it for a while and, kind of defend it. That is actually quite cool. So once the war has come to its climatic end, players on both sides of the conflict would be teleported off the battlefield so they can continue the adventure. So this is basically the battle we will get in the game, called Corrupted Invasion, and also War. Again, Corrupted Invasion is 50 players versus Corrupted Forces, and War is 50 players versus 50 players. It sounds really interesting, and I'm I'm hyped for actually trying it out. I know the game is being pushed, so we have to wait for that. So still, when we get the chance to actually get the hands on and try out the war, it will be very interesting. I hope it's something that people will be able to actually try, and it's not going to be very hard for getting a group in there, or maybe it requires you to actually have a guild or a company, as they call them. So thanks for watching, everyone. This was pretty much the war, and it sounds fun. Thanks for watching, have a nice evening, and see you in another episode. Peace out.